bullshit in the back. Am I still live? There we go. I'm gonna go to the... No, he's not. I'm gonna have to mute you. All right, are we ready or what?
I'm ready. I'm ready, dude. Let's do it. Let's rip into it.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Oh, shoot. I clicked on the wrong thing. All right, everybody. Welcome to the NASCAR Heat 5 Pro Series Draft Night. I am Mr. Slidejob 1996, and with me in the booth tonight is your friend and commentator, T. Branham. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Slide. How about you, bud?
I'm doing good. Well, we saw more than three, but 3 rounds of racing over the last 3 weeks, and it was exciting, but I think tonight is a little bit more exciting, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, man. I can't wait for this thing to get started tonight, man. Like you said, three, pretty intense races, some really good battling on track, and man, I'm pumped for this draft tonight.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it was 3 weeks of great racing at Charlotte, Richmond, and Phoenix, all of which were great in a different way. I think all the tracks had something really cool to offer the fans and the drivers. So why don't we recap a little bit? So what really stood out to you for the from the 3 rounds of racing?
Well, I mean, I think I think a given, or maybe the biggest standout is probably the most obvious, but just the fact of lined cone 18. I mean, every single qualifying race that he did, it was the same exact result. He won. So I think that probably stands out the most out of anything. But you know what? There's a lot of people that you guys might be surprised on. Now, in a little bit, we'll get into our mock draft and kind of some of the stuff that I personally think, might be a factor or might come into play here. And I could be wrong on some of these, but it might surprise you that some of these people are maybe not people that won the race or whatever, but there's a lot of people that stood out to me just because of their consistency. The same people that are, um, you know, really doing well, even though they didn't win. But yeah, I think it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I think tonight's going to be pretty difficult to predict because, you've got it depends on really what the owners are looking for. Some of these guys are going to be looking for, who had the most raw speed, who finished well. And then you've got others that might think, well, I want a guy that's consistent. Maybe somebody that didn't go out and win or finish top 2, but maybe somebody that was always there.
That's right.
So I think it really depends on, what they feel is the key to success, because what's important about tonight is that the person that you draft is your teammate for the season.
Yeah,
And, your points together is going to be what determines the team championship.
yeah.
So you're depending on this person.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think just like you said, I don't think the team owners, first of all, let's get a point across. The team owners are already respective drivers in themselves. So I think they're looking for somebody that kind of maybe, maybe they're going for something different. Maybe they're not looking for somebody that just complements their driving style, but maybe somebody who has a completely different driving style so that they can, take both aspects and use that, to their advantage. Or, But I think it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'd like to think that I know where some of these team owners are going with their picks, but honestly, it's completely up in the air. I honestly have no clue at the end of the day, and I think that's what's going to be so fun about this thing. I can't wait to get this thing rolling.
Well,
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of surprises, it looks like we have your co-commentator in here, Inferno Speed.
yeah,
Hey,
man.
are you
Here I am.
you got
I
us?
got you, dude. I got you. Let's go over our mock drafts. Who's going number one overall? I think it's definitely a toss up between Line Cone and Sean for Life. I don't really see. Um, I'm pretty sure that pick's been locked since Saturday night. But who do you see going number one overall? To me, it's Line Cone, but it could be Sean for Life. It depends on what our drivers are looking for.
Yeah, I completely agree, Inferno, and welcome back in, man. Good to have you with us tonight. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, guys, with my mock draft, I definitely have line cone 18 at the very top of my draft. And it's not just because of the, you know, back to back to back three-peat, you know, number one finishes. But I mean, if you just look at all the stats and look at how many moves made, how many positions gained, so on and so forth, lap times, everything. I mean, this guy is just well rounded in all facets. I mean, he hits the nail on the head in every category.
I think those are great points, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Oh, here we
I'm gonna
go.
say, it's not Line Comb. I think he's definitely got a lot of speed and was consistent. But, I was thinking about it and I was like, maybe somebody like think about who's picking, right? Mark the Fat Shark. He's a really consistent guy. He wins a bunch of races, but he's very consistent. And you know who stood out to me that was consistent was Sean for Life. I know you mentioned, one or the other. I think they're both obvious first picks, but I think Sean for Life to me just stood out to be the most consistent.
Uh,
He seemed to be always at the front. He wasn't one of those come from behinders like Line Cone. He didn't surge late. This guy was up front and stayed up front almost every race we were at.
I'm going to
yeah.
have to agree with you there. You make a good point, Slide. Sean for life, obviously. Now, I've got him number two overall on my mock draft. I'll put that up there. But, you're absolutely right. He was in all three starts, and out of his three starts, he's got an average finish of second, basically. An average finish of second. He's got. I mean, he's made so many gain positions. I think he has a total of 24 out of those three races. And yeah, I mean, this guy, same. He might not have won all these races, but he definitely hits all the marks, especially for a consistent person that these team owners are going to be looking for. What's your opinion on that, Inferno?
I mean, yeah, Sean for Life and Line Cone, they're like the thing is like coming out of the draft, they both look like not to miss picks, but then again, not NASCAR, but you could look at football and you got your Marcus Russell. So you, as a owner, you want to make sure you're making the right pick.
Right.
Well, speaking of picks, you want to find out who our first pick is?
Ooh, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. So to join Team 2311, to drive the number 23 Toyota alongside his team owner, Mark the Fat Shark, in the number 45. With the first overall pick of the NASCAR Heat 5 Pro Series draft, Mark the Fat Shark selects Light Violet.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay.
Not what I was expecting at all, but I love that pick. I love the pick of Light Violet from Mark the Fat Shark right off the bat.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Now
mean,
it's
this was a guy that kind of shocked us, right? Going into Richmond, we hadn't seen him at Charlotte. And he came into the fray, set the fastest lap, and finished in the top 5 at Richmond. Solid race. And then he kind of backed that up at Phoenix. Not as great of a finish, but a solid one.
Yeah, I completely agree. And this kind of makes me feel bad now. I had Light Violet all the way down in kind of the 6th position on my mock draft, but he is somebody that I was looking at. He's a solid pick, very consistent. I mean, he's had a ton of gain positions. Every single race that he was in, or every qualifier race that I should say, I mean, he really stood out to me. Yeah, I think that's an incredible pick. Like I said, not anywhere close to what I was expecting to be the first overall, but that's awesome. Good for Light Violet, man.
So Inferno, you didn't have him in your top 2. Are you surprised?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm just gonna be honest for the stream. I don't think that was the right pick. I mean, right when you finished right, so he finished 8th in our in the owners race, right? So
Yeah, he finished last, so
yeah.
he got the first pick.
So I mean, to me, that you need that absolute speed. You need and the consistency. He wasn't there for the Charlotte race. I don't know him personally. I don't want, you know, to upset him, but that's a surprise out of right field, and hopefully it works out. But
Well,
Yeah.
with that number one pick, I would just go consistency. You have to go with either um line cone or Sean for life there. But hey, now those two are on the board, and now yeah, my mock draft's out the window. So we'll see who goes where.
I will say in his defense, real quick, I will say that he might not have been, making huge statements or anything by his performances, but I will say if anybody paid attention at that second qualifier in Richmond, I mean, he started in 8th place, finished the race in 3rd, so gaining 5 positions, and he finished with the fastest lap at Richmond. So, again, it's a super big surprise for me, but not a bad pick overall for Mark the Shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I just heard that we might be able to get our number 1 pick on stream right now.
Ooh.
Let's see if we can dial him up for the boys. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's what you would say? Uh, shoot. I'm trying to find out. There's a lot of Light Violets on, believe it or not. It's 8,500 is the number. Light Violet 8,500. Let's get him in here. Here we go. While we get him in here, we've got the number 2 pick coming up for Team Penske. That's going to be RC Rowdy's pick coming up in just a minute. Let's see if we can get... I sent him an invite. There he is. Give him a minute. Hey, Violet, can you include your audio?
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, man. Well, you just went number 1 overall in the draft. How does that feel?
I everyone who didn't make it first, and then let everyone know who's going to make it afterwards at first. I'm surprised, yeah, for sure. But hey, I think Mark got a good pick, solid pick, if I don't say so myself. And hey, I'm very thankful that he picked me first. That was awesome. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Mark.
absolutely.
We'll make the most of the season, and like I told him right away, I said thank you, and said we'll make sure everyone knows that we'll be at the end of the season, no matter who's first or second, it's gonna be 1, 2, 20.
Hey, Light
That's our
Yes,
goal.
Violet.
sir.
Light Violet, this is T Brandon 1313 in the booth. Do you got me?
I got a copy.
Hey man, congratulations again going first overall,
Thank you.
man. That's awesome. But real quick, I just had a quick question. Um, what do you feel like you can, obviously getting the first overall pick, Mark the Shark. I mean, what do you feel like you maybe what was one of your strong suits? What do you feel like you can bring to this team?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with my just being able to stick with it. Talk with I was bad first. Phoenix, I had my worst race. I only finished two. I only finished two races. A race and two races altogether. I missed the first one. Just I don't know what it was. I just misscheduling, and the last race though I think really showed that I started last, and I worked my way up even after getting in a crash. I worked my way up to the top 10, and I think people really want to see someone that sticks with it, keeps going, and I think that just keeps has that stick to it attitude that
Yeah, that's
just
definitely I think what Mark's looking
early.
for, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Is
I'm
that
pretty high.
determination.
I mean, I'm not here to.
Oh, we're having a little trouble hearing you.
Yeah,
You're breaking up a
yeah.
bit.
Sorry, buddy. I'm pretty high in the points for only racing two races. So I mean, I'm not trying to gloat, but I think that's a big highlight there. But I had to come back from the back up to the front, so it's. I'm anyway. Regardless, I'm happy, and I didn't expect to go first. I kind of expected maybe to be last or not at all, but yeah.
Well,
It.
hey man, congratulations from us in the booth. Really good going, and
Congratulations.
we look forward to seeing what you got this season.
Oh man, I just need to pick the driver now. See what number I'm gonna be, and we'll give him hell. Let's
You're
go.
gonna be the number 23.
I was
There
thinking it
you
was Joe
go.
Gibbs. Right.
No, he is 2311. So he's in 45, and we'll be seeing you in the 23 this season.
Oh, thank you.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you for stopping by, and we appreciate it. And let's move on. So Brenham, now we're at our second pick, Team Penske, RC Rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
Who you got going number 2 now that Light Violet's off the board?
Oh man. Well, see, here's the thing. If I'm Team Penske, I'm wondering, did his whole strategy change or not really? Maybe I mean, I don't know if Light Violet was going to be the first on his list, but I kind of doubt it. And I think that maybe he's happy because he's still going to get his number one pick. But to be honest, man, I thought Line Cone was going to go first. I just assumed he would. Like I said, I could be wrong. I just assumed he was going first. Number two on my list is Sean for Life, just because I think he's overall one of the most consistent people on this list, in my personal opinion. But I don't know, man. I don't know where Rowdy's going to go. I don't know if he's going to go for Line Cone, if he's going to go for Sean for Life. He might pull something out of left field, just like this last pick from Mark the Shark. I don't know, but I'm super excited to see what happens here.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Inferno? What do you think about the
Uh,
second pick?
Second pick. Uh, my mock draft's all messed up now. Um, it's got to be either Lion Cone or Serving for Life or Shawn for Life right now. Um,
You're going one of those two?
it's got to
Has
be.
to be.
It has to be.
All right.
I mean, Dusty was up there, but see, honestly, that whooping that Lion Cone gave on Phoenix, I mean, that's majority of the tracks on the schedule, So
It's 3 of the 15.
yeah, to me, that's 20%. It's got to be Lion Cone here.
All right. Well, let's find out. The pick is in. With the number 2 pick of the NASCAR Heat 5 Pro Series draft, RC Rowdy for Team Penske picks to drive the number 22 Ford Mustang. He selects Sean for Life.
Oh, here we go. I'll say first off, I like that pick. I love that pick actually from RC Rowdy. I think Sean for Life is such a consistent dude. I mean, he's showed some really strong races. Um, I mean, yeah, this guy is just. I think he's the real deal. I mean, the I think it was the let's see, the first qualifier. I mean, I think he had the most positions gained in the first race. He started out in 12th place, finished the race in third place. I mean, and same for the second, basically. He starts out in eighth place, gains 6 positions up to second place. Like I said, this guy's not winning the races, but this guy is a mover. And I mean, this guy can move when I say he can move. And he's in the biggest heated battles the whole time. He's a clean racer. Um, I love this pick from RC Rowdy.
Well, it looks like we got him in the booth. Sean, can you hear us?
I got you, brother.
Sean, you'll be driving the number 22 Ford Mustang this season. How does that feel?
Yeah, I guess there's just something about guys from Connecticut driving 22 Ford Mustangs. Really appreciate RC Rowdy for the selection here. He's getting a great driver. Looking forward to getting to work and leaning on him for, advice and things like that. Just trying to get better, try to get more consistent with these presets. I usually have only run custom setups, so I've only made the adjustment over the last, I guess, month or so to running more presets. So a lot of work to do. Really appreciative for the opportunity and appreciate you guys for putting all this on. Looking forward to getting to work and ready for the grind.
Yeah, buddy. No problem at all. Inferno, how do you feel about this pick?
I mean, Strong for Life. I told you you were my number one overall.
I remember that. I appreciate it, man.
Um, I mean, in my eyes, you still went number one overall because that was a shot out of left field.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting Linecone to go first. I mean, just with him
You were
winning all three
Linecone,
races
yeah.
there. Yeah, no, I mean, Linecone's a great driver. I mean, Violet, I haven't raced much with him, but obviously fast to
Yeah.
go number one. So, looking forward to getting to work and to put another good show.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Yeah, and no disrespect to you, Light Violet. I just did not expect it. So,
Yeah, and hey,
uh,
Sean, this is Brandon in the booth, real quick. I just wanted to say congrats on number 2 overall, man. That's fantastic. I mean, again, I had you number 2 overall in my pick too. I
I
think,
won't hold it
I
against you.
think
It's all good.
nothing against you. I think everybody kind of had Cone kind of high out there on their draft, but you
Oh
know
yeah,
what?
I mean the guy wins
This
three
is going
races, right?
this is going to prove us wrong, right? Though I mean, he's I'll be he might not even be number 3. We're all being surprised here, but dude, you are super consistent. We've been super impressed with you covering you in all these races, man, and congrats to you. And we look forward to seeing what you can do in this 22 car.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, the 31's got a lot of talent. Hopefully he gets picked here soon. He's definitely deserving of it. I mean, the guy won all three races. He deserves to get picked for sure. I'm sure he'll go to a good spot, and I'm sure, like me, he'll want to prove some doubters wrong. So, ready to get to work, and again, appreciative of RC Rowdy for the opportunity, and ready to get to work, and we're ready to put on a good show and bring home a championship to Team Penske.
Heck yeah, buddy. That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. All right. Well, it looks like Sean for Life and Light Violet are off the board. Inferno. Now, who's got to be number 3?
Linecone.
He's 100% in now.
Linecone.
Linecone has
But
to be there.
here's what I'll say. Right, there could be I'm gonna go with a dark horse here. Right, Irish is a Kyle Larson fan, and Serving Cone is a Kyle Larson fan as well. They could team up.
Ooh.
They could team up. I do have him going number 3 overall.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
So, but no. In all reality, it has to be Linecone here. Although, I mean, I know for a fact, um, if it's not this pick, Linecone's probably going next, and I don't see Maverick Moose at number 5 not getting Linecone if he's still on the board. But
All right. Well, I think we definitely know who you think is going to make it. Brenham, do you agree? Line cone or the field?
You know what, man? I'd love to say line cone, but I mean, we've said that the past 2 picks and we've been wrong every time. So I might have to, I might have to change it up and go something different here. You know what? I'm gonna be that guy, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and say that I think that the third pick overall could actually be Dusty Stud. Now, this is a guy, when you look back at the telemetries, man, don't get me wrong, this is not a guy that's, doing anything crazy by any means, but nobody can deny every single race that we have called, this guy's name is being repeated over and over and over again, and not in a bad way. This is in a good way. We're talking about this
Yeah.
guy. He's up at the front of the pack. He's doing all sorts of the right things. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say maybe Dusty Stud gets picked third overall.
All right, some solid picks. I mean, hey, if I'm a team owner in the third spot and I get either one of those drivers, I'm gonna be super happy. There's no way I'm not gonna be. Those are two very solid drivers. All right. Well, I think it's time to find out, don't you think?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
ready. Let's see it.
The third pick is in. Actually, let me start out with Irish Killer. Or sorry, his gamer tag used to be Irish Killer. I'm still not used to Irish XFL. Owner of Team Trackhouse in the number 1 car, has selected to drive the number 99 Chevrolet for Team Trackhouse. He has selected lined cone.
Oh,
There it is.
there it is. We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. Hey, I love this. For anybody out there, I know you guys watching this stream right now or listening to us don't know who I am, probably have never seen me race, but I am religious about this 99 car, and I love seeing Line Cone drive this 99. This is fantastic news for me.
Absolutely. I think Irish is getting a really fantastic driver, as we've seen in all 3 races. I think this 99 car is going to be up front or near the front all season long. I love the pick. Inferno, you got your guy, number 3.
Yeah, and at least it's going to a Chevy, so that's fine.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Now,
Gee, I wonder what manufacturer he likes.
yeah, 100%. Hendrick Motorsports want to give me a call. So, yeah, no, honestly, number 1 overall in my opinion. Dropped to number 3. Um, I guarantee he's gonna come in here with a chip on his shoulder, knowing he should have went number 1 overall. I would not be surprised if we see Trackhouse win the championship this year between Irish and Linecone. I think the two of them will gel and make each other better. But yeah,
Two
so,
very solid drivers right there.
but,
I'll be
you
hon-
know,
I'll
Kind
be
of scary to be going against that team.
I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think that Irish expected Line Cone to still be available when it was his chance to pick.
No way.
I
No
mean,
way he does.
that was just, I think he's probably super ecstatic about the pick that he just got. We all thought this guy was going to go number 1 in
That's
this
a steal.
draft. I mean, this is
It's a steal.
this is pretty awesome, man. This thing is going to get wild. I can't wait for this season to start. And we're only through 3 picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We're not even halfway. But yeah,
Golly.
you're absolutely right. I think we all had Line Cone and Sean going 1 and 2. So the fact that he's down in 3, unbelievable. I posted in the chat earlier this week that I feel like by the time I get to my pick, I'm going to be breaking the whiteboard. And I already am. I don't even know what to say, to be honest. I'm already confused. But we'll get there. But let's talk about this next pick, right? We have the 4th pick of the draft is going to go to Dude Chef. Dude Chef representing Stuart Haas. And I actually got to dial him up in a second here because
he's already
I got to figure out what car he wants him to drive. So Dude Chef's in the 41, right? He's got a couple options. Dude Chef, do we got you here?
Yeah, man.
All right. What car number is your teammate going to drive?
He's going to go to the 14.
The 14.
Like it.
Solid car. Let's get him up on the screen here. All right, for the 14. Now, Brenham, now that we've got couple of the big hitters off the board, and a surprise. Pick number 4. This is a good one. Who do you think is going here?
Man, okay, here's the thing. I still want to go with my guy, Dusty Stud. I think this guy is hands down, I think he's one of the most consistent drivers in this field. Now, number 4 on my actual list was Serving Cone 627. Now, if everybody remembers, this guy won one of these qualifying races. I believe it was
Charlotte.
Yeah, exactly. I believe it was the first one. We kind of made a joke about if your name was Cone, you won this week.
Yeah,
So
we
I,
did.
I,
We
I
did.
have Serving Cone as my number 4 pick in the mock draft, but man, I'm gonna stick with my guy Dusty Stud, man. This guy has to get picked up by one of these guys. He has to. He's so consistent, he's so good, and I feel like he's that ringer, man. I mean, I think he can just bring it for whichever team owner sees something in him. I think he's just gonna bring something to the table.
Absolutely. I
Well,
think that's a great take. Inferno, do you agree?
um, yeah. I mean, we're at the point now where the draft board is kind of broken. Um, so anyone could go anywhere, but I mean, we got Dude Chief in the party. Does he want to give his pick?
Well, give me a second. Why don't you tell us, before you tell us your pick, why don't you tell us what went into this pick? Because we don't have any other than myself and hasn't picked yet. We haven't had any of the owners chime in yet because they've either been somewhere or whatnot. But Duchef's here. So tell us insight on how you made this pick.
Well, I was watching Cone. Oh shit.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I fucked that one up.
We're gonna pretend we didn't hear that. Continue.
Yeah. I watched this driver, man. I know he only made a couple starts, and I know he had some issues at Richmond trying to run a two-stop strategy that ended up not panning out. But that's kind of what, that's kind of what drew my attention to this driver because, he tried something that really not a lot of other people were going to try. And I got to give him a lot of credit for trying it. And that's what I like in a driver. I like a driver that has balls. And it took a lot of balls to do that. So,
Yeah, I love that.
Now
Yeah,
let me ask you
I think
this.
that's a great point. Sometimes you get in races, we've all been there, where to win, you can't do what the others around you are doing. You have to do something different. And I think you made a great point. He did that, and he'll, I'm sure, continue to do that. And sometimes that's what it takes. Inferno?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
So, Do Chief, while we have you on the mic, overall great driver. Um, Now there are some red flags with him. Are you worried of his lag at all? Are you worried about lag outs, or do you think it's gonna work out?
from playing this game from Heat 3 up to Heat 5, on any given night, anybody could lag out. It's just part of the game. I'm not really worried about it. Usually things like that tend to correct themselves, so it's not a huge worry for me. But if it happens, we take it as it comes and
Yeah.
move on to the next week.
I mean, he's a phenomenal driver, super fast. Raced with him personally for years. Um, Super nice guy. Just that's the only red flag. So I I had him fourth overall, but like I said, my draft board went out the window. But I mean, overall, you're getting a really good driver. Um, and if he has internet that will work with him, he can light the field on fire. So congrats.
Yeah, so I don't think we've actually
No,
said
we
yet,
have
but
not.
No.
do we want to go ahead and let Chef go ahead and tell us who his pick is going to be in this draft?
Sure, go ahead. Floor is yours.
All right. Well, with my first pick, in the draft, it's obviously
Fourth
going to
pick.
be Serving Cone. He's going to the 14.
All right, guys, you heard it. Serving Cone to the 14, representing Stuart Haas Racing, to be paired up with his team owner, Dude Chef, in the 41.
Right. Slide, do we know
Pick
if
number
serving is
4.
serving cone available?
Speaking of the devil, here he is. Serving Cone, you have a copy? Audio included?
We can hear you,
We
man.
hear you fine. So, Cone, you didn't even see live that your team owner had slipped that he was going to pick you. But here you are, the 4th pick in the draft. How does that feel? All right. Well, you got a ride, and I guess that's all that matters, huh? Heck yeah. So what do you think you can offer to Team Stuart Haas this season? All right. Well, expected was the word you heard from him. Inferno, you had him 4th in the draft. Even though you said your draft board's broken, you predicted this pick. How do you feel about this?
I mean, I've Serving Cone and I have known each other for years, racing. He's a good guy. He shows up. He runs as an admin on the Sunday League Legacy. Um, he he's always fast wherever you go. Um, so this could be a steal at 4. But I mean, there's plenty of guys behind this list, and I just don't know where the next 4 are going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one I want to point out is just based on my personal experience, but Servant Cone is a road course ace. And I think with a couple of road courses on the schedule, that might mean something because a lot of these guys are fast most places, but sometimes when you take them to the road courses, things can get a little weird.
Yeah.
Dude Chef, did you take that into account at all in your pick?
To an extent. I mean, Cone's fast everywhere, so it's one of those things that you just kind of it comes with the package, you know.
Yeah, that's true. You get a great driver, you just almost expect them to be good everywhere.
Hey,
Nice.
and Slide, don't leave me out of this thing, pal. I
Of course not. Could
unfortunately
not forget you.
just like Inferno, man. I was right. I had 4 Serving Cone as my 4th overall pick too. And again, if you can hear me, Cone, man, congratulations on getting picked into this league. I think this is fantastic. And just like you mentioned, man, you only had 2 starts, but one of them is a win. Both of them is the fastest lap. I think you're a super consistent driver. I think you bring a lot to the table, and we're excited to see what you can bring to Stuart Haas Racing for this season. Congratulations, man.
Congrats, man.
All right. Well, you heard it. So we are 4 picks in, 4 to go. Now, I know everybody's excited and wants to jump to the next one, but actually, let's take a break and talk about the next 4 picks. So we're halfway down. Both cones, probably as expected, off the board. Surprise pick, Light Violet goes first. And Sean for Life, another expected top 3 pick. 4 left, 4 more teams. Inferno, what are your thoughts on the next 4 picks here?
All I can say is don't let Moose. I know you're in here. Don't let That's a Hot One go to slide job. Don't let it happen because I mean, to me, he when you look at raw speed, he's a little less known as the other guys, but he's got it. And um, but then I mean, you look at Black Hammer. Um, I've been racing with him since NNR. And he's just got consistently better every single year. You look at Dusty, still on the board. Um, Dowdy, the names go on and on. So I mean, to me, this is how I would look at it. I would have probably Black Hammer going to Maverick Moose. That's a hot one going to Slide Job, and then Dusty and Dowdy to round it out. But I mean, we've had
Yeah,
surprises at the top. We're definitely going to have surprises at the bottom. I mean, if you just because I said those 4 names doesn't mean it couldn't be a driver that we're not even thinking of, and they could
yeah.
surprise the world and get in.
This this field is 29 drivers deep. It could be literally anyone. So, talking about surprises, Brenham, I'll ask you for your 4 picks in a second, but are any of them a surprise? Are you picking that any of those spots to be a wild card?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely possible. Now, I think all of us are kind of, or I shouldn't say all of us. Me and Inferno are kind of on the same track. But would it surprise you guys to know that That's a Hot One actually didn't even make my list? That
Wow.
might surprise a few people. Um,
Interesting. Why is that?
I mean, I just felt like for me overall, going through the telemetries, looking over everything, not to say that That's a Hot One isn't great and a good racer, but I just felt like there was a couple people that might have been a little more qualified for getting this spot. Or, I mean, especially being a commentator, man, we're tuning in to every single person, every single race, and there's just some people that just really made an impression on me, and I just can't. I can't look past that. I can't stray
Nilla.
away from it. Yeah,
So
like
if you're
Nilla's
Maverick Moose right now, right? You have the next pick. You're listening to this.
Yeah,
Who you
which
got to take?
is
to be honest, man, the next person on my list, and I'm surprised. Well, I shouldn't say I'm surprised because it's been a surprise so far all along. But I think if I am Maverick Moose, I think I almost have to go with Black Hammer or Dusty Stud. I think you can't go wrong with either. I think Black Hammer stands out more. I think his statistics are a little bit better. I think his racecraft is a little bit better. Um, but again, my guy, man, Dusty Stud in that 47 car, man, he just made a name for himself. He's just a huge standout for me. I'm not going to let this down, guys. I'm going to keep saying his name until he gets picked this evening. And if he doesn't get
There you
picked, we're
go.
going to bring him in the booth and we're going to have this guy commentating with us this year. But I mean, I think you
There you
can't go
go.
wrong with Black Hammer or Dusty Stud. That's my personal opinion.
I'll tell you one thing I found interesting about Black Hammer is that if you look at the stats, just the raw numbers, Black Hammer is one of 2 drivers to get a top 8 ranking in both fastest lap, average finish, most passes, and the combined metric ranking. You know who the other driver was?
Who's that?
Line Cone.
Wow. Very
One of
comparable,
2 drivers to do that.
but you know what's also crazy that you say that. You say this stat, basically these stats are basically the same for him and Line Cone, but guess what a huge difference is? Line Cone competed in all 3 qualifiers. Black Hammer only competed in 2.
Yeah, so that's even more impressive for me.
Exactly. I think he almost has to go next. Like I said, though, not going to be upset if somebody picks my boy Dusty Stud.
Well, of course. I think the thing that gets me about Dusty is we saw him up front in the 2 races that he did. And the heartbreaker was he was on the end of some bad luck both times. If you take you all the way back 3 weeks from now, or 3 weeks before in Charlotte, he was up front in the top 3 and ran out of fuel on the very last lap.
Yeah.
That's
Fast
right.
forward to Phoenix this past week.
Blew a tire.
He's in the lead.
Absolutely.
Just gets passed by line cone and blows a tire.
Now, I'm
So
not
what
gonna.
could have been?
Yep, I'm not gonna say that maybe his strategy game is not what he needs to work on. I mean, obviously that's shown, and maybe that's something that these team owners are looking at. Maybe he doesn't play the best strategy, but this guy has grit, he has guts, and he's been in contention every time, even though it hasn't panned out for him.
Absolutely. I think he definitely showed he's got the speed, maybe cleaning up the strategy just a bit, but you're getting a solid driver either one.
Absolutely. But yeah, to go back to
I
our
think we've
point,
talked.
I think Black
Good.
Hammer.
Sure.
I think Black Hammer is he's got to. I think he's got to come within these next 2 picks. That's my personal opinion.
Well, why don't we find out right now? I think we've talked about this pick enough. So let's get to it, shall we?
Let's do
I
it.
think we've got Moose in the party, do we?
Of course, we got Moose in the party.
Oh, God. Unfortunately, have you included your audio?
Yes, I have.
All
All
right.
right. Well, with the 5th pick, we have RCR, Maverick Moose. Do you want to first, without mentioning who you're picking,
I don't know how I'm gonna top
tell us
Duchev.
tell us what went into this pick?
All right, well, Ducheff's interview and whole pick was legendary, and you guys thought I was gonna mess it up, so good stuff on that. But but
You're
here's
welcome.
what went
I
into
got
this
you.
one. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Here's what went into this one. I wanted to draft basically somebody that's kind of opposite of how I run. So if anybody in here that's run with me pretty much knows if I don't go for
Yeah,
the win, I don't care to finish last. So it's either
just
win or
move you out
nothing.
of the way.
So yeah, exactly. So so I feel like that's a hot one was going to be very much closer to my style than I'd like, even though he's a real fast driver. I love his performance in the couple
Sure.
qualifiers that we've seen him. But I think that the opposite of my driving style would be the pick that I'm going to um, say right now. And for driving the 8 for RCR, I choose Black
Chevrolet.
Hammer.
Oh, right.
Whoa, there it is, Branham.
We knew it. We could feel it.
Black Hammer to the number 8 to join his team owner, Maverick Moose, driving the number 3 for Team RCR. How does that one feel, Brenham? You got one.
Man, I kind of suspected it, but again, I think that's a fantastic pick from Maverick Moose. I mean, solid pick. I don't think you can go wrong with that. In fact, are we able to dial him up? Are we able to get him on?
Let me see. I'll check that while we're talking here. Inferno, what do you think about that pick? I think he was one of the guys that you were looking at.
Another guy I've raced plenty with. Can't go wrong. He's usually at the front. You don't usually find him at the rear. He's level-headed. Sometimes that's hard and way overlooked. Moose, I think you're getting a good driver. You know, I think your
Yes,
two
sir.
styles will mesh well. But I think you know you left some studs on the table. No pun intended. But I mean, you can't go wrong with Black Hammer at 5. And you know, it's getting to the point where there's only 3 names, and unfortunately, there are going to be some people not called tonight. Just as a reminder, just keep working on your craft. We're probably doing this for more than a couple seasons, so your name may be called one day.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say, I love this pick from Maverick Moose. I think he's getting a fantastic driver, and I mean, like we said, I mean, he's matched basically all of the same statistics for Line Cone, which we all expected to be the number one draft pick. Didn't work out that way, but um, yeah, Black Hammer, man. I mean, in both of the races, the thing that really impresses me is how many moves he made. I mean, in his first appearance at Richmond, I mean, he starts the race middle of the pack or almost closer to the rear of the pack in 12th, finishes in 5th. I mean, he's got outstanding lap times. I mean, I think his racecraft is incredible. And I think this is going to be a pretty stout team. People are going to have to watch out for RCR this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is he's honestly in my mind the picture of consistency. I know he struggled a little bit at Richmond because of, just some of the wild moves some people were throwing, but I've known this guy for a while, and he's one of those drivers where, he may not make desperate moves for the win, but you're getting a guy that will consistently go for points and get the best finish. Like Moose said, he wanted somebody that's completely the opposite driving style as him. And Moose is the type of person to really, like he said, all or nothing. And Blackhammer's not that at all. He is the guy that no matter what day he's having, he's going to maximize. And when you're running for a team championship, that's what you need. You need a guy that maybe he's running 6th and he tries his heart out to pass for 5th and get that one extra point. No shot at the win, but man, get everything you can get, and that's him.
Yeah, I completely agree. What did you find out, Slide? Were we able to ring him up, or is he not available?
We are not.
Okay.
He is
Okay.
unfortunately unavailable, but
Well-
yeah, we'll definitely be hearing from him throughout this season because I have a hunch that 8 car is going to be, not only on the podium, but probably in victory lane by the time this season's over.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, I know he's not here with us, but if he watches this back or if he hears this, congratulations, Black Hammer, on getting picked 5th overall, going to the number 8 car RCR, and congratulations, Moose, on a pretty fantastic pick.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
All right, well, Inferno.
Yeah.
Now it's the 6th pick. It's mine.
Ooh.
Okay.
What are you thinking? Give me some advice
He
right
just
now.
goes, okay.
I mean, you and I kind of briefly talked about your 6th pick, right? Like,
We did.
I kind of was telling you, like, if that's a hot one was there, to go there. But I mean, we also did not expect Dusty to be there also. Um, I mean, let's face it, you have 320 wins on this game. Um, I mean, you linking up with that's a hot one could turn. I mean, his raw speed matches yours. I mean, are you okay not winning the championship? And that's a hot one winning it?
Listen, as a team owner, I got to put that. I mean, obviously, we all wear a couple hats, right? You have your driver hat and your team owner hat. As a team owner, you want the best for your team, regardless if it's you finishing second to them or seeing them win and you didn't finish in the top 5. You want the best for your teammates and your team in general. And as a team owner, that's what I'm going to look for. I want a guy that will, like we just talked about with the last pick, I also would like a guy that's going to maximize points and put us in good shape for the team championship. As a driver, of course I want to win. Of course I want to beat the field, right? But I also would like good competition. And part of that is bettering myself. So, as a driver, you want a teammate who you can bounce ideas off of, push each other, and grow, right? And that's another thing that I was thinking about. Who is somebody who I can work with and who will push me beyond the boundaries that I have for myself, right? And make us faster and more competitive with the field. So, I also wanted to find somebody who's well-rounded, because I think the schedule is well-rounded. We have a dirt race, we have road courses, we have short tracks, mile and a half, super speedways. We've got everything. So I need somebody that's going to be consistent. And yeah, that's really what I looked into it. Brenham, do you have any advice for me?
Do I really have to tell you who I think you should pick?
I
No,
think you should. I
no.
need it. I need it. I'm picking sixth.
You already know who I've talked about all night that still hasn't gone yet, and maybe he won't. But honestly, if it comes down to it, one thing that I want to mention that was on my list, high on my list, and I think I didn't realize maybe that this guy wasn't going to be able to go throughout this season or commit to this season. But one person I just want to mention was Iron Man. This dude was incredible, and I feel bad that he's not going to be able to compete this season.
Yeah, I know.
But
He was
yeah,
solid.
he was such a solid pick. But honestly, man, you're sitting here talking about consistency and somebody maybe that can, benefit your driving style and everything else. Somebody that I have on my list that we haven't seen gone yet, somebody who is consistent. Um, honestly, is Dowdy. I mean, you think of Dowdy, I mean, he's got a fourth place average finish, but you can't take that into perspective. You got to look at where these guys started. With these qualifying races, these guys are just loading into a lobby and starting wherever they come in. So you can't really put too much stock into that. But this guy has
Yeah,
made, he's got 14 total gain positions. I mean, he's making big moves.
passed
He
a lot of cars.
Exactly. Passes a lot of cars. He's averaging about sixth out of all three of these qualifiers on fastest lap. So he's right there with the top guys as fast as far as overall speed goes. But Dowdy in that 18 car has just looked incredible. In all of these.
Ooh, hold on. Crew cab, can you mute your mic? I think we had a late entry here. I'll mute him. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
But anyway, yeah, I was just saying. I mean, if you look at these metrics, man, I mean, Dowdy is one guy that nobody can deny is just he's just a well-rounded guy. He's done well at every track that we brought them to for these qualifiers. He's shown consistency. Um, I'm not going to say maybe he's not your top pick. I understand that, but I think for any of the drivers or the owners that might be listening to this, I think that this guy hands down is a fantastic pick, and I think that he would do very well on any of these teams.
Golly, you're not making it easy for me. That was very good convincing. I think, even though I'm at the sixth pick, I think there's a ton of great drivers that I could take right now because, like I said, the field's 29 deep, and 29 of 29 impressed me. I mean, you got to see, we really only had one caution in the 5 races that we had. I mean, we saw so much great battling amongst these drivers, great performances by a lot. And the 3 drivers that you guys mentioned were, part of the top of my list. I mean, who could ignore That's a Hot One's performance at Charlotte and early on at Richmond? Who could, forget Dusty's performance at Phoenix and Richmond, or sorry, Charlotte and Phoenix. And man, Dowdy was solid at both Charlotte and Phoenix. So I mean, it's going to be a tough one to make a decision here, but I think I'm going to go with my gut on this one at a driver that I feel can match the speed or faster, and that we can work together and push each other and be consistent everywhere. So I
Well,
think
slide job.
Inferno might have the pick.
Did you send it to me?
Mm-hmm.
Right, Inferno.
He,
Let's hear it.
he
Who's
has
slide job
requested
going
to
with?
make the pick.
Inferno
right.
today.
Moose. We're on the air. I'm not gonna say anything. Um,
I'm adding the sauce to the stream right now.
yeah, get him out of
You
here.
know what car it's for, right?
No. What car?
31
Yo,
Alright.
this
color.
guy.
The 31 car is going to be the car they're going to be driving. For Colleague Racing and owner Mr. Slide Job, the 31 car will now be That's a Hot One with the 6th pick overall.
Oh.
I had to do
Inferno,
it, boys.
are you surprised, or is
No.
this kind of what you expected?
No, not at all. Just how I saw him dominating Charlotte, and yes, the tires ran out. I mean, Slide Job has 320 wins. You don't luck in the 320 wins. Now, granted, at least 10 of them he stole from me. But
At least 50 of them from me.
Here we go. Okay, so let
But-
me
Yeah,
ask you
yeah,
this.
Todd,
Let
get
me
in
ask
line
you this,
behind
Inferno.
Moose.
You're not surprised about Slide's pick. Are you surprised at all that That's a Hot One didn't go any earlier in this draft? Or is this about where you expected him to be?
the fact he was only there for 2 races, I could not put him in my top 3.
Okay, fair enough.
I figured if he dropped to Slide Job could see the potential. Plus, Slide Job's a 48 fan, and the fact he was driving the 48 had to stand out.
Oh, I had to. Seeing the
So-
48 out front, of course.
Yeah. So
Broke
that
my heart when he lagged out at Richmond, but man.
right, right,
Uh,
yeah. So I mean, hey man, Slide, I think you probably got one of the best drivers in this class, and unfortunately, we're down to 2 names. And
Boys, I think I got a steal. I really do. I think not to say anything about the other 5 drivers that were picked before, because they're all amazing. But I think I got a steal here. And I think partly was probably because of the lag out at Richmond and not being able to race Phoenix. But, you know, I'm a stats guy. And I looked into the numbers. And I think this guy is going to be really good.
So I
I
think
really
you're already kind of talking about it, Slide. I think everybody can kind of hear it in your voice. You sound a little bit giddy, but is it safe to say that you're pretty happy with your pick overall? I mean, do you feel like you got a little bit better of a pick than what you were initially anticipating?
Oh, 100%. You know, on my draft board, I thought that the Cones, Sean for Life, and That's a Hot One were going to be the top 4. I even wrote these people off. But, you know, I just kept it and I said, you know, you never know what might happen. You might never not know that, like, Violet gets picked number 1, right? Never know. So I kept it, but yeah, no, I'm super happy. I think the 2 of us can work really well together. I think we're gonna be a threat to the rest of the teams. I think the 2 of us can, if as long as we make sure his internet is pretty good, I think we'll be a force.
Do you hear that,
Yeah,
Moose?
I'm very happy.
You hear that, Moose? They're a threat. RCR better watch out.
Hey, be nice to them. They're our fellow Chevy teammates.
Oh, that's right. That's
I'm
right.
very
Hey, you still have
empathetic to
Hendrick
all of our
also,
Chevy
so-
teammates. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking
we,
of Hendrick, let's get to the next pick, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, 2 spots left, as Inferno mentioned. Right, 6 guys off the board. Inferno, 2 left. You're racing right now for Hendrick Motorsports. Who are you taking?
is Racing in the party?
He is.
Racing, I didn't see. What number did you choose?
He's in the 9.
He's
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
in the number
9?
9 car.
Okay. Is your driver gonna drive the 24, the 5, or the 48?
The driver's going to drive the number 5 Chevrolet for.
Okay, so it has to be a Kyle Larson fan, right? All right.
That's what he's going with today. He's trying to predict based on the fans.
I mean, honestly, you're the 7th pick overall. I had Dusty going 5th. I mean, you got Nilla also, right? Surprised a lot of us starting dead last at Charlotte.
Don't forget that Dowdy too, that Brandon was talking about.
I'm getting there. I'm trying to give everyone their due. Okay.
There you go.
I mean, I don't have the full list, but I mean, Dowdy, he worked his way up that field at Phoenix. Um, but you got Dusty, as
Yeah, still on
Brandon
the
keeps
board.
saying. Um,
I've got a good question for Brenham. So, I know we think, or we know that I imagine you still are in disbelief that Dusty hasn't been taken. But let me ask you another question. We've seen every winner of every race in the qualifiers get picked, except for one, right? If I take you back to Richmond, there was one driver who won Group B that is still on the board. What do you think about Fast Racer for this pick?
I'm glad you bring that up because I was actually just thinking about that. And to be honest with you, this might surprise some people, but I did not even have Fast Racer make my draft. He's not even in my top 8. And maybe that was wrong of me to do that because at Richmond he had a great race. He obviously started third, finished first. He had like the second fastest lap time. Um, Dude was on it. But for me, I think it all kind of comes down to um, I just I don't know, man. This is a hard one for me. He the way I look at it, man, I'm not trying to downplay him by any means. I think all of these guys, if any of these guys got an invitation to these qualifiers, I think you're already in a league of your own. Okay, so don't get me wrong. None of these guys are bad drivers whatsoever. But if you look at the overall stats throughout 3 races, I mean, the only thing that really impresses me is the one win. Other than that, he's lost more positions than he's gained. I mean, his average finish is like 14th. I mean, there's not a whole lot that really, stood out other than the one win. Now, granted, it is a win. You can't knock him for that, and you can't take that away from him. But kind of like we mentioned earlier, I should say that I'm surprised that he's not on, that he's not been picked or that he's not on this list, but at the same time, I'm kind of not. I still think at this point, I think all of the high profile drivers, the most anticipated drivers are already spoken for. And I think if it comes down to me personally, if I am Hendrick Motorsports or even Joe Gibbs Racing, I think there's 2 main contenders that I'm looking at, and that is my boy Dusty Stud or Dowdy. I think both of these guys are super consistent. I think both of these guys will make fantastic teammates, and that's my opinion. Take it or leave it, but yeah, I just think there's some other picks out there over Fast Racer.
I
All
mean,
right. Well, one
before,
thing I will say is good, good.
sorry, I just wanted to go over the field. Look, there's a lot of names out there still. You got Crew Cab, you got Nilla, the Kid, GS Racing, Fast Racer, Exo Austin, Insolvable,
I'm glad you brought up one of those drivers
Keystone.
because somebody that we haven't said anything about tonight, anything, is Crew Cab. And when I'm looking at the final stats from the 3 races, who has the 4th best overall metric score
Crew
with a
Cab.
7.7 average finish? He's got 6 overall passes, a little bit low there, but a overall fastest lap rank of 6th. Crew Cab.
Yeah,
That's not somebody that we've talked about yet. What do you think about his chances in the spot?
Yeah, I agree with you there, first of all. I know he is somebody that we kind of all bypassed, and I'm a little bit surprised. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say I'm surprised he didn't make it to my list, but I'm surprised he didn't make it to anybody's list. But Crew Cab I mean, he's a solid contender too, and I think somebody that maybe got unluckily overlooked just a little bit. I mean, yeah, exactly like you said, Slide. I mean, he's definitely up there in the metrics. He's not the
Just under
top
the
guy,
radar,
but
huh?
exactly, he's sliding just under the radar, and I think he would be a fantastic pick for either of these last two team owners.
I mean,
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
at the bottom of the list, you got guys like Ryan Keystone, Nick H, Sicky Tan, Holy Barbecue, which is the coolest gamer tag ever. Um, Dark Spartan, Ty Phil, race with him personally.
And
Bren,
I could see any of these
I
guys
agree.
going,
I
honestly.
can't
I
believe
agree.
Bren's that low on the list because he in that three car
That's
was
true.
really good at Phoenix.
That's true. I
He
think
was.
the one thing I can say real quick, Inferno, is some of these guys that you've mentioned, they have excellent racecraft and they've shown a lot, but most of them only have one start. A lot of these guys higher on the list have had three starts. They've had more opportunities to show everybody what they're made of. Not to say that these other guys aren't good, but I think unfortunately for them, they've only made a single appearance, and sometimes that's just not enough to really be able to show these team owners exactly what you've got.
I mean, but you got Bren who had three starts though, and he's down
That's
there.
that's
I mean,
true.
he could just need a little bit to get him over the hump, and that could be a really good pick at 8 or 7. You know, but I mean, you
Well,
also got
speaking of,
okay.
okay.
I'll
No, I
stop.
was gonna say, speaking of pick 7, I think we have Racing 87 in the booth, right? You still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry for talking your ear off here, but why don't you tell us before we get to the pick, what went into your pick?
There was a lot of thinking here, listening to all you guys pick before me. Definitely took some of my options for my first pick away, but uh, the pick that I went with was just looking at the averages, finishes, and total metric and stuff like that. Doesn't really do the justice of who he is for a race car driver. Um, but yeah, I think the pick that I made will fit pretty great with the team.
All right. Well, why don't you tell us who's going to be joining you at Hendrick Motorsports driving the number 5 car?
Driving the number 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports will be X95 350 Crew Cab.
All right. Boys, what do y'all think about that? We just got done talking about how this guy was flying under the radar, and then what do you know? He gets snagged in the number 7 spot. Are either of y'all surprised?
I mean,
No, not at all.
he was fourth on the sheet. So I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think that speaks for itself. I mean, we had, you know, just noticed that going off of the metric scores and who had the overall best performances, and it just seemed to me that he was the one outlier on the list that hasn't been picked yet. I mean, I almost think that might be a steal, the fourth highest ranked driver out of the 3 races,
Yeah,
going at the 7
absolutely.
spot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I honestly didn't pay a whole lot of attention until you guys mentioned it, but now that we've talked about it, I'm a little bit surprised that he kind of lasted that long.
Yeah, Inferno, is that a surprise to you?
um, yeah. I mean, Ford going to Chevy, they don't really coexist. No, I'm kidding. He's he's been on the he's been great on the stat sheet. Kind of under the radar. I mean, sometimes you got a driver like that. Like I take for example, a Mark Martin, um, a Carl Edwards. Like they fly under the radar and they get their share of wins. So I mean, that's what. Hey, he got drafted. Now he's in the show. Now it's time to show what he can do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Slide, I know we saw him a little bit earlier. Do you think we're able to get him on real quick?
Let's see if we can.
I
I'm
just
gonna
want to say
invite him
this. I
now.
am super excited to call these races for the whole entire season with this stellar amount of talent, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if we can get him. Crew cab, can you hear us? Yep. Hey, can you mute your whatever you're watching it on? I hear an echo. Oh, gotcha.
Just turn your volume
Okay.
down a little bit.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
see.
way better.
It's a little better. Yeah. So, Crew Cab, you're going to be joining Racing 87 at Hendrick Motorsports and driving the number 5 car. How does that feel? Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think, you can provide the team this season? There you go. Consistency usually is key, and we saw that in the qualifiers. You kind of flew under the radar until just late for us, and it was that consistency that got you up to the top of the rankings. So, congratulations. Oh yeah, we expect that for sure. Brandon or Inferno, anything for Crew Cab while we got him?
Um, yeah, I mean, you flew under the radar. Um, but sometimes, like I said, sometimes that's the best drivers out there. So, I mean, just keep working at your craft. You said you're new to sliders, so you can only get faster.
All right. Well, boys, that's 7 picks, and we've only got one more to go. And this one goes to the guy that finished first in our pre-qualifier at Las Vegas, who got to pick his team first.
Hey,
However,
crew cab, do you mind muting your mic?
just mute. I muted him for me.
Oh, okay. I didn't want it to
Oh,
show up on
he can
stream,
mute it.
that's
Yeah.
all.
No, I got it. Don't worry. So yeah. So like I was saying, the guy that finished first got to pick his team first, but unfortunately, he stuck with dead last pick. However, like we mentioned, there are so many good picks still left, and one spot left. Brenham, your last pick, but there's so many good drivers still on the board. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, this is hard for me, man. This is a hard. I think if you're last in this is almost a harder pick than anywhere else in the draft. And not saying because you're stuck with X amount of people or whatever, but I think this is literally the hardest place to choose. You have so many things to think about. One thing we haven't mentioned, and one thing I'd like to point out, like for instance, the 24 car of XO Austin. He's one of those guys I think flies under the radar too. Like if you look back at all of the data overall, I mean, maybe not even the overall data, but like this guy has made so many moves. And if you look back at all of his races, like Richmond, and even go back to the first race, um, I mean, this guy is just making a lot of moves. I feel like he's another one that's kind of sliding under the radar. I mean, 5 positions gained in one race, and then he's got 5 positions gained in the second race. I mean, people like that. But again, I think if it's me, I'm still looking at consistency. I still want, somebody that I think can play the team game. And I mean, I still think there's 2 people that really stand out for me, man. I think Dowdy 201 and Dusty Stud. I don't think you can go wrong with either of these picks. But we've been wrong before. Maybe he's going to go out on a limb. Maybe he's going to pick Nick H. Maybe he's going to go with Insolvable. Maybe he's going to go with fast
Your
racer. You mentioned that
Richmond Group
earlier.
B winner. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
that's what
still
I'm
pulling
saying.
for him.
There's
I'll
there's
say one
no
thing. I will
there's
say
no
one thing
telling.
about Fast Racer. We did see the average finish a little low, and the cars pass a little low. However, in his defense, he did lag out of Charlotte pretty early.
No, that's true.
So I read into that one a little bit. He was on my board. If I was a little bit later, I don't know. Now, did Dusty fall that far and I would have overlooked him or Dowdy? I don't know. But I will tell you that I don't think at least the Charlotte stats favor him as well as he could have been. I think that Richmond was a show out for him. I feel like he had to have that night. But then Phoenix came and it wasn't there. So I don't know. But he's still a driver I'm interested in.
I feel you.
Sure.
Now, the only one downside I'll say, and I'm not gonna. You can't take this against him. A win is a win, no matter how it gets done, as long as you're not dirty. But I will say the
course.
race that he won, he started in third. He only really had to make up 2 positions. Now, that doesn't mean a whole lot
True.
because, you still got to play your strategy right.
And
He
keep it.
obviously, exactly, he managed his tires correctly, so he's still a great pick overall. But when I go back to the people like Dowdy and Dusty Stud, Dowdy in his first qualifier, I mean, he's going from ninth, finishing in fourth, making up 5 positions. I mean, he's got, I think, the second fastest lap overall. Things like that. And, Dusty is just consistent, like we said. He's starting in third, finishing in third. That's not fantastic. But, I mean, it's like, other than his strategy, he's in contention every time. But,
Which
like I
Fast
said,
Racer had.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. You got to pick and choose what
Hmm.
you're going for. You've got
It's tough.
somebody that can get a win, somebody that's obviously good with their strategy, and then you've got other guys that are a little bit more consistent, but maybe they're not winning and maybe their strategy's not perfect. So, this is going to be a really interesting last pick. I think this 8th pick is really going to be, I mean, it could be anybody. We don't know. This could be somebody on the list that nobody even mentioned their name this evening.
That's true. Inferno, what do you think?
I'm doing some last minute research. Someone that is showing out on the stats is Keystone. I mean, he started
Oh, there's a name we
14th,
haven't heard.
There we go.
finished 4th at Richmond. I mean, he
I gotta mess with you. Who won that race?
at Richmond, Light Violet.
I'm just messing with you. No, he didn't. He finished third.
No, he
Boys,
won.
this is why Maverick Moose
Fast-
was in the booth that day.
Fast
Thank you.
fast racer
Fast
won.
racer.
Okay,
He's still gonna- he's
your
still gonna put
stats
that
aren't
to you.
helping at all.
But hey, Sly, Keystone did have the most positions gained. He made
Wow.
10 passes that race. 10 passes.
Wow.
Think about that. He passed
Richmond,
more
that's
than
really
half
hard
of
to
the
pass.
field.
That is hard
More
to
than
do.
half of the field and play the strategy right in order to make all those moves and keep them. That's saying something.
Ooh.
I mean,
you guys are making it tough.
you're looking at 4 picks right there alone between Dowdy, Keystone, Bren. I can go with more than 4.
There's another name we haven't mentioned.
Stud is still
Brennan,
there.
what do you think about Bren?
Man, that is such a tough one because Bren is another name that, like I talked about earlier, kind of like in that Dusty Stud position. He might not be winning, but he's a name that I feel like we are saying over and over and over in these races. And I mean that in a good way and not a negative way. He's constantly in it. And do y'all remember at Phoenix? I mean, he was in, I mean, he was, I mean, he's one of these guys where I feel like he's a really good driver, maybe not having the best of luck. If that makes
That's
sense.
true.
I feel
I
like
did
luck
see a
luck
lot
is
of
maybe
that.
not going his way, but I feel like he is a very good driver and maybe he just didn't really have the opportunities to present that, if that makes sense.
I agree
But
with that. I also will say one thing on Bren is, from what we know, he's a young guy. He's getting onto the scene now, and I'll tell you what, if his name isn't called today, it's going to be called one of these seasons because I think, the guys that he runs with, the mentality that he has, the amount of practice he does, I think he'll be there. He's definitely one of the young guns to it, but I think that he's definitely going to be someone who we are going to be seeing in the near future, if not today.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, like I said, or like you said, even. I mean, he's got potential. He's definitely got room for growth. He's definitely got time. Some of these other guys maybe just have more time under their belt, and I think he had a little bit of bad luck mixed in with it. But I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, at Phoenix, he finishes in sixth place. He had a lot of good battles with my guy Dusty Stud. I think. I mean, I don't know, man. You guys got me fooled. I don't know where this eighth spot pick is going.
Well, why don't we find out? I think we got Suspect Camo, who is the team owner for Joe Gibbs Racing in the party. We got you?
Mm-hmm.
There he is. Well, first question, Camo. You're driving the number 19 Toyota.
Yep.
What car is your teammate going to be driving?
I could mess with people and say the 11 because I know a bunch of people don't like the 11, but I'm not going to do that to them, and I'm going to run with the 18 as my team
He
car.
cheated.
He cheated.
Yeah, I'm definitely not putting that 11 on there now since Truex fan here.
Well,
Well,
I mean, I'm not a Truex fan at all, but all,
Cringe.
all, all I can say on that front is stay off my quarter panel.
But yeah,
well,
my team car will be the 18.
there we go. So, who will be driving the number 18 Toyota? Well, first, or well, probably second now. What went into this last pick? Because we probably talked about this pick more than any of the other picks tonight. I know this was a tough one. Tell us how you came to this decision.
So in order
Hey,
to get down
Camo,
to
include your
yep,
audio.
it is.
Oh,
It is.
yep.
I did that a
Okay,
while ago.
just checking.
Included. Oh, okay. Yeah, good.
To get down to the person that I will want to drive for that car, I'm gonna have to go through some people that had a chance that I was definitely looking at throughout the last 3 weeks. Because the people that I'm left with, I'm genuinely surprised some of these names are down here, and honestly, it kind of benefits and hurts me at the same time because it's people that I've raced with over the years or have recently found, and I see how they race, and it's gonna hurt to not choose them here. I'm gonna go ahead and name one of them that I can't pick just based off of the other choices, but Bren is like my driver that I've coached after the last year. So to see him do this well in the qualifiers, that is amazing to me because I'm still coaching him every now and then. And like y'all said, I'll expect him in the next few seasons. I do as well. Bren's a great teammate. He's worked well with me on his own league that he runs, Bren's Heat League, over on Thursdays. He works with me even though I'm one of the fastest guys in his league. He will stick with me if I'm around. He usually lets me go and lets me battle the people ahead. He is a 100% team player. He has his fair share of wins. He straight up beat me on a 1v1 in the Homestead on a side by side at the line. So he has his speed. It's there. He has his racecraft. I'm I'm glad I can help him maneuver that into his season here. Just came up a little bit short based off the choices I see. A few others, I know Dusty. Dusty is a great person to work with. I raced with him back in UTRL before I left there. I see him around. I know he's gotten a fair share of wins. He's a definite top 5 card wherever he runs. Like I said, some of these choices hurt to let them go. I expect him in the next few seasons, but y'all have mentioned him a bunch. I'm genuinely surprised he didn't get picked here. God damn.
This is a tough one. I know. And unfortunately, only 16 make the field. The top 16 drivers on the Xbox platform of NASCAR Heat 5 going at it. Who's it going to be?
Based off of the speed alone, which I'd imagine he could work well team wise. Usually faster guys can work with other faster guys. I mentioned the guys that can work well together, but they're solid but not top tier. Brennan, Dusty, solid guys. But I think Fast Racer just beats him out a little bit more. So I'm taking Fast Racer for the number 18.
Wow, you heard it, folks. Pick or driver number 16, pick number 8 of the NASCAR Heat 5 Pro Series. Driving the number 18 Toyota. Fast Racer. Branham, are you shocked?
Honestly, no. I mean, I was rooting for my guy, Dusty Stud, but, just like we talked about, fast racers got to win. We know that he's fast. Well, I mean, obviously, come on, it's in his name. But, this guy is this. I mean, no, I'm not surprised at all. I think this is a fantastic pick. I think he's going to work really well. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. What about you, Inferno? Does this surprise you at all?
No. He was fast. Won Richmond, as Slide pointed out earlier. Um, I mean, he was pretty good on the stats sheet. I just feel bad for the drivers who didn't make the cut. And I mean, I would definitely say stay in the server. We'll figure out something to do. But I mean, I've been here, especially with In It to Win It, and not made the cut. It sucks. Um, but just know, and right, maybe some of the owners didn't make the right choices. Maybe some of your names should be on this list. Well, then buckle down, work on your craft, and show them next season. That's the thing about life. You can always redo something.
That's
So,
true. I mean, this isn't the end, and we can highlight some drivers, honorable mentions for sure.
Nilla,
But
I thought he would
yeah,
go.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest, Nilla was a great choice, but I think he's been off the game for too long. He's just recently getting back, so again, he's a very solid choice, but I think he needs to get warmed back up again before he can fully contend. Because I know he can. He has battled me for wins in the years past.
Yeah, but
yeah,
like I
absolutely. I
said,
think
I
there's
mean,
quite a few here.
I've been there and not made the cut, and it sucks. But I mean, it lit a fire under me, and now I'm not, right at Slide Job's level. But I mean, Slide Job, I was on your butt at Bristol, so you know, it just keep your head up and keep trying to get faster and prove them wrong.
Absolutely. And to me, I know Brenham has said this a million times tonight, but there were so many good drivers that I would want picked too. And the one that broke my heart is Dusty because I'm sorry, I really think those strategy calls killed him. Had he won against Line Cone straight up at Phoenix, I think his name would have been called. That's
Now,
just my honest opinion.
do you
You
think the
know?
fact that he started towards the front also came into the owner's decision because we didn't really
Absolutely.
see him have any what's the word any
Maneuverability.
no, not animosity, but the other you get what I'm saying.
He's so
Maneuverability to
shocked
like
he's
drive
lost
through
for
the
Mhm.
words,
field.
folks.
I'm
But
shocked, dude. I'm honestly shocked that Dusty didn't make it. But I mean, the fact that he started up front, I mean, it's hard to stay up front, but it definitely came into the owner's decisions
I'll
that
give Dusty this. There was 8 drivers that get picked. He is in the top 10 of those drivers. So
yeah,
just there at the line, guaranteed.
yeah. And I mean, you're right. I mean, I think one thing that I read into too, and it doesn't paint the picture of where he was running, but if you look at start to finish, in the first race, he started 7th, he finished 9th. Second race, he started 3rd, finished 3rd. I mean, to me, he seems like a guy that can hold his track position for sure.
yeah.
But did we see him rise forward? We didn't see him start deep. And obviously, that's not his choice. He has to do what he can from where he starts. Did we see him start 10th? No. But still, it just seemed like maybe had those strategy calls gone different, and he finished just a bit higher, I think it might have painted a different picture. But, I think that's why he's on the cut line. He was one of those drivers where it was like a what could have been, right? And he's another guy, we're guaranteed we're going to see him again. 100%. Nilla, same thing. I think Kemo made a great point. He was out of it for a while, came back to the scene, and he's getting back into it, and he showed speed. I mean, he got really unfortunate lag at Phoenix, but Charlotte was most memorable to me, where he started basically almost dead last because of an incident with
And
lag.
worked his way up to what, like
And
fifth,
worked his way
sixth?
up. 5th, yeah. So, I mean, he's got the speed. I think it'll come together. But, yeah, it is shocking. And another guy that I noticed did, very solid, but again on the cut line, or 2 guys actually, XO Austin and Insolvable. 2 guys that were right there every race, but, we're on that line.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, Exo Austin, like I mentioned earlier, I was really impressed with this guy's racecraft and the fact that he's making so many moves in such a small amount of time. I mean, these are 25% races, and you're able to make up 10 spots here or whatever spots here. I mean, it's just, it's pretty impressive. And again, like Keystone, one guy that Inferno mentioned earlier, my guy Dusty Stud, Nilla, all these guys, I mean, Insolvable. And then one guy that we were talking about too, Dowdy. Like, I'm pretty surprised that he didn't go. I mean, he was kind of farther down my list, but just the fact that he's such a consistent guy and, he didn't make it. But, none of these guys should be upset, man. These are all incredible people. Like I said, if this was a 15 or 20, team league, I mean, all of these guys would have made a spot. These guys are all incredible, or else they wouldn't have got the invite in the first place. So, everybody should be proud of themselves. But obviously, these 8 guys that were picked obviously stand out, and they're kind of in a league of their own, and they should feel privileged and happy for the fact that they got picked. And man, like you said earlier, Inferno, I was ready to get this season started after the second pick, but now I'm fired up, man. I can't wait to get this thing going.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's do a quick summary real quick for those that are still with us that maybe missed the beginning. But we have your NASCAR Heat 5 Pro Series Season 1 lineup, starting with 2311 Racing, Mark the Fat Shark, and Light Violet teaming up together. And then we have the pairing of RC Rowdy and Sean for Life, taking up the Team Penske spot. We've also got Irish XFL pairing up with Line Cone, taking down Trackhouse Racing.
That's going to be a lethal combo.
Yes, sir. We also got Dude Chef and Serving Cone banding together for Stuart Haas Racing. We have Maverick Moose and Blackhammer for... Sorry, my screen just froze. For Richard Childress Racing, RCR.
Moose is
Myself,
always
Mr. Slide Job
interesting.
1996, and it's a hot one for colleague racing. We have Racing 87 and Crew Cab for Hendrick Motorsports, and last but not least, your last pick, Suspect Camo and Fast Racer. What a stacked field we have for this season, Brenham.
Yeah, man, this is. I'm looking at it right now and just kind of grinning from ear to ear. I mean, this is incredible. This whole league is completely stacked. It's going to be phenomenal racing. I think it's. If you guys are listening right now to this stream, you're going to want to tune in this season for this NH Pro Series because it is going to be. It's going to be one to watch. I promise you that.
Absolutely. And we also, don't forget, those are your 16 drivers running for regular season points and championship. But we also have a small list of distinguished weekly ringers that'll be making an appearance here and there. Kind of like our local heroes taking on the 16 drivers. We've got guys of the likes of Sturlu, Extreme Shocks, Tampax Pro, Impact, Rye Bread, Mr. Southern, Twisted Bush, and Prune Bag. Prune Bag. So, we've got tons of talent, and this field really represents, as we said, the best drivers on Xbox platform for NASCAR Heat 5 today. So, I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I
Inferno,
will
what are
say
you
some of those
thinking?
names down in the weekly ringers. I want to say like half of those names have been taken by these teams if they were
Oh,
able to
yeah.
show up week in and week out.
Easily. I mean,
Ford Farm.
from first to last, this field is stacked. And speaking of what Brandon was saying, getting excited for the season, we're starting just a few days from now at Daytona with these guys. Inferno, are you excited about that? Starting at a plate track?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, these are the best drivers, right? So this racing, all I can hope is it gets at least 2 wide, and it's not just snake around Daytona.
If not 3.
If it gets 3, so it'll be
I mean,
insane.
you're talking about the
Doing
best
a
of the
Levon
best.
wreck.
I guarantee there will be some 3 wide at some point, and they're holding it.
Yeah. Hey, man. We're ready. We'll have the numbers memorized by then, and so we're excited.
Let me ask you real
All
quick,
right.
Inferno. I
Yeah.
know this is a little bit early to be speculating, but with this first race being at Daytona, we all know how the draft is here. We all know how how this track plays out. Is there any teams in particular now that we know the whole field and how the teams are set up? Is there any particular team that you've got your eye on that we might look out for this first race?
Um, I mean, Maverick Moose, he wins every plate track I've ever raced with him, and because it's just hard to pass. Um, the fact that he's got Black Hammer behind him, who is loyal. Um, I'm definitely gonna look at that as the team to beat, and that's
RCR.
RCR. So it just goes with plate track racing.
You're
So
saying that 3 is going to be up front at Daytona? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying the 3 is gonna win Daytona.
Wow.
Oh, here we
Bold.
go.
Brandon,
Hell yeah,
who do you
that's what I would
think's
say, to
winning?
be honest.
Man, this is a difficult one, man. I mean, it could really be anybody's game. I'm afraid, Slide, if I don't go with you in colleague racing, I'm afraid I might lose my commentary job.
Yeah, no, I didn't have
That's
that fear.
right.
I don't know though, but to be honest with you, I don't know. I might have to go with Irish XFL and Line Cone, man. That Trackhouse team is
Wow,
looking stacked,
Trackhouse.
and my boy Line Cone in that number 99 car is going to serve me right.
I mean, he hasn't lost in any preliminary event in this series.
That's true.
So why not keep the streak next week?
There we go. Well, everybody's just going to have to tune in next week to Daytona race on the NH Pro Series because this is going to be a race to remember.
Here at 7:30
Absolutely.
Eastern on Saturday.
All right, folks. Well, we appreciate you guys coming out and enjoying this wonderful season 1 draft day with us. I hope you had fun. Very exciting. Congrats to all the drivers that made it. Definitely keep your heads up high. Those that didn't make it, everybody was fantastic. Your time is next. So keep at it. And we will catch up back with you guys here on the NH5 Pro Series channel. Saturday, 7:30 p.m. starts qualifying for Season 1, Race 1, Daytona. I'm Mr. Slyjob 1996 here with Inferno Speed and T. Brenham. You guys have a good rest of your night.